It is crucial to be aware that within the World Trade Organization, WTO, numerous trade agreements exist, with two of the most significant ones being the Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures Agreement, SPS, and the Technical Barriers to Trade Agreement, TBT. It is imperative to clearly understand these agreements to avoid any confusion regarding their implications. The SPS agreement primarily addresses health and plant health measures, while the TBT agreement focuses on technical trade barriers. We will provide examples of each and ensure a comprehensive understanding of their distinctions. The primary objective of these agreements is to safeguard human, animal, and plant health while preserving trade. As for the TBT agreement, its goal is to eliminate any technical trade barriers. Ultimately, the WTO aims to foster collaborative efforts among countries, facilitating smooth and seamless trade movements between them. Let us now proceed to elaborate on these points together. The Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures Agreement, SPS, is a treaty primarily aimed at ensuring the safety of food and health standards for plants and animals. It was established with basic rules in 1995 and is linked to the World Trade Organization, WTO. This agreement takes various forms, requiring that imported products originate from countries free of diseases. It also establishes maximum limits for pesticide residues in foods, thereby relating to food safety. The SPS agreement applies to both domestically produced goods and those imported from other countries. Moreover, it is closely associated with the Technical Barriers to Trade Agreement, TBT. There is a consistent correlation between SPS and TBT, and as we have clarified, the agreement is particularly concerned with food safety. This connection will become evident in the examples we will provide shortly to illustrate the distinctions between SPS and TBT. An example of the Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures Agreement, SPS, can be illustrated by a country facing pest issues on its apple crops. In response, this country decides to use insecticides to prevent the problem from worsening and spreading. Simultaneously, this country exports apples to another nation, which in turn has established maximum limits for pesticide residues in foods, as per the SPS agreement under the World Trade Organization, WTO. In this scenario, the role of SPS becomes evident. The agreement works to safeguard the health of animals and humans, protecting them from diseases transmitted through food. This aligns with its vision. Furthermore, it aims to shield human health from diseases transmitted by animals and plants. Here, we observe that if there is a problem with plants that could potentially transmit infections and diseases to humans, the SPS comes into play. Additionally, if a country is dealing with pests, insects, or the outbreak of a disease, it also falls within the scope of SPS. However, a crucial point arises here. The importing country should not impose more restrictions on imported products than necessary, as doing so would hinder trade. This means that the country is supposed to establish these laws in accordance with the Codex. If the country decides not to follow the Codex and opts for more stringent regulations, it must provide scientific justification for these laws to avoid impeding trade. Why impose rules with such strictness that are difficult to achieve? The ultimate goal is to prevent these regulations from becoming technical trade barriers. Consequently, the decision is ultimately made based on the Codex or the scientific justification provided by the country. It is important to note that these factors play a crucial role, as mentioned earlier, since food safety varies between countries due to surrounding conditions and environmental factors that directly impact food safety. Additionally, climate change plays an important role. Therefore, borders and regulations differ from one country to another. Another important point to understand is that if a country wishes to apply stricter import standards than those set by Codex, the World Organization for Animal Health, OIE, or the International Plant Protection Convention, IPPC, they may establish standards more stringent than these. However, these countries must provide scientific justification for these standards and clarify their process of assessing risks. If a country decides to impose requirements on imported products that are more stringent than those applied to local products, or if it introduces SPS measures in regions where there are no international standards, as unfortunately Codex lacks many needed standards, then scientific justification is crucial. If stricter standards are set based on scientific studies, there must be a scientific rationale for these standards. Despite the existence of numerous scientific justifications, they resemble a scientific debate, where each party aims to prove the validity of their opinion by developing their own standards and presenting scientific data and justifications. Hence, referring to global specifications such as Codex is more convenient in order to avoid these scientific battles and ensure a standardized and widely accepted framework.